Did you know there was a time in Istanbul when drinking coffee could get you softly exiled? Not executed. No, this isn't that kind of story. Just politely removed from polite society with a scowl and a slightly unnecessary scroll of legalese. You wander the cobbled lanes of the 16th century Ottoman capital, where the scent of roasted beans curls like gossip through the alleyways, and the sultans, yes, plural, are having a bit of a caffeine-related existential crisis. You duck past a silk merchant, then pause. Is that laughter? From behind a curtain, a faint clink of ceramic. You found it, the forbidden kavahan. Coffee house, a den of idleness, the clerics warn, a pit of rebellious poetry and dangerously clever backgammon. Inside, men lounge on cushions like sleepy lions, sipping thick, inky brew and whispering things like, maybe the vizier's hat is too tall. Scandal. And yet, for all this worry, even the palace couldn't stay away. Sultan Murad IV, known more for banning things than attending brunch, allegedly stormed the streets in disguise to catch coffee drinkers in the act. He wore a hood, probably dramatic, possibly embroidered. Historians still argue whether he really did his own undercover work or just liked the idea of it. What we do know is this. Coffee was both medicine and menace. Some called it the milk of chess players. Others called it the devil's drink, which honestly sounds more fun. But between the clerics, the poets, the soldiers, and the bureaucrats, one thing united them all: exhaustion. And coffee? Well, coffee was starting to make naps too easy. So you settle in on a cushion next to a man quoting Persian poetry at a cat. The breeze shifts. You swear it smells like cardamom and rebellion. Don't leave, the answer at the end of this video. Now you're back on the street, and it's busier than ever. Every corner seems to have someone roasting beans in a brazier, and the air hums with caffeine and minor gossip. The bean panic of Istanbul is underway. Not officially, of course, but enough that aunties are whispering. He opened a second coffee house, bless his poor, sinful heart. You pass a group of students debating theology with the enthusiasm of people who've had 6 espressos and no breakfast. One of them waves a cup and declares coffee the only true path to divine clarity. Which would be funnier if he weren't twitching like a squirrel. Someone tries to sell you a medicinal coffee blend that includes cinnamon, cloves, and are those dried beetles? You pass. What really gets people talking, though, are the additives. Some claim the Janissaries, the elite Ottoman soldiers, added crushed rose petals and a splash of vinegar for battle focus. Others say that coffee was mixed with musk oil to attract potential lovers, though frankly, if your date smells like both musk and vinegar, maybe just go home early. And yet the beverage thrives. From the domed halls of Topkapi Palace to the docks by the Golden Horn, people are buzzing. Coffee isn't just a drink, it's a performance, a lifestyle, a slow-motion revolution with tiny porcelain cups and embroidered napkins. But not everyone's thrilled. Religious scholars frown, citing hadiths and pacing nervously. Bureaucrats mutter about lost work hours. One concerned pamphlet blames bean-stewed men for declining military discipline. And somewhere in all this nervous energy, the question arises, what if coffee isn't making people too awake, but just sleepy enough to stop working? That's when nap culture, luxurious, shameless, daylight napping, starts showing up in all the wrong places. And the empire takes notice. You rub your eyes just a little. Was that a yawn? You find yourself in a sun-drenched courtyard where absolutely no one is doing anything remotely productive. A merchant snoozes beside an open ledger. A messenger leans on a sleepy donkey. 2 scholars, mid-debate, have simply dozed off mid-thesis. Welcome to 1633, the unofficial year of the Ottoman nap crisis. The problem, as some saw it, was not the coffee itself, but what came after. A fresh cup of thick, syrupy cave, then a soft sigh, a pillow, a dream. And just like that, half the empire appeared to be conducting important state business from a reclining position. The Grand Vizier, legend says, once nodded off during a diplomatic meeting and agreed to a treaty with a fishing guild by accident. Historians still argue whether this actually happened or whether someone just wanted to justify a nap tax. Yes, a nap tax. One proposed solution was to fine shopkeepers if their patrons were caught publicly lounging under the influence. That influence being caffeine, followed by a luxurious doze in velvet slippers. Naturally, the people rebelled, mostly by sleeping through the regulations. Still, pamphlets warned of a softening empire, men losing their edge to daydreams and divans. Some blamed coffeehouses, others overly plush cushions. A bizarre decree even attempted to limit the sale of nap-compatible furniture. Ottomans without Ottomans? Absurd. You meander through one such establishment now. A sign outside declares it a rug boutique, but the only thing being sold is uninterrupted slumber. The proprietor offers you a complimentary post-espresso recline, and frankly, you don't resist. The cushions are embroidered with tiny crescent moons. Someone hums a lullaby in the distance. A cat is gently kneading a sleeping scholar's foot. You're not sure if the empire is collapsing or if this is the most advanced society in the world. Either way, you settle deeper into the pillow. You blink awake, or maybe you never really slept, in a room that smells of roasted beans and rosewater. The sign said textiles and thread, but it's really an underground cafe with silk bolts stacked like camouflage and sleepy revolutionaries sipping coffee behind veils of gauze. A man in the corner whispers, "Ask for the moon blend." You do, and a steaming cup arrives, deep brown, thick as pudding, with a sprinkle of crushed saffron on top. It tastes like secrets and bedtime stories. Someone slides over a pillow embroidered with, "This is definitely not a nap." Here, in these hidden spaces, the banned coffee culture only grows more theatrical. Patrons wear pajamas as protest. Someone organizes whisper poetry competitions, which are just people murmuring verses until they fall asleep. A rumor swirls that the Sultan himself sneaks in at night, disguised as a wool merchant, just for a sip and a snooze. No one confirms it, but no one denies it either. You notice a group in the back. They call themselves the Drowsy Crescent. Their mission? To preserve the art of lounging in defiance of nap regulations. They've drafted a manifesto. It's mostly doodles of cushions and a long ode to the perfect footstool. Everywhere you look, resistance takes the form of softness. Plush drapes, low stools, the gentle clink of cups. One man is trying to invent a foldable bed cape for portable rebellion. Another offers you a booklet titled How to Appear Busy While Absolutely Resting. It's absurd. It's gentle. It's strangely powerful. Outside, the muezzin calls to prayer. Inside, someone sleepily quotes, "Verily, even prophets rested." You wonder if history's revolutions have all just been this. Not thunder and flame, but drowsy defiance under embroidered ceilings. The night deepens. A yawn passes through the room like a blessing. You linger just a little longer in that hidden cafe where sleep and satire swirl with every sip. A scholar nearby stirs from his cushion and mutters, "Did you know? Coffee diplomacy may have saved the empire." You lean in, not because you're fully awake, but because it's oddly convincing. You see, once the early panic faded, coffee slowly shifted from threat to tool. It started showing up in formal court meetings, alongside delicate pastries naturally. Ambassadors received it before treaties. One source claims a peace accord was delayed 3 hours when someone forgot the sugar. Historians still debate whether this was sabotage or just a sleepy intern. By the late 1600s, coffeehouses evolved into unofficial embassies. Deals were struck, marriages arranged, poets found patrons between gulps. Even spies came here, though one suspects their cover was blown every time they ordered just water. And still, the naps continued. In fact, some scholars argue that embracing coffee-fueled drowsiness helped the Ottoman Empire endure, a kind of sleepy stability. One historian cheekily called it the Empire of the Yawn. Another insists the empire's famous hospitality culture, soft cushions, endless tea, low voices, was shaped as much by caffeine crashes as by tradition. You step back into the narrow street where stars scatter like dropped sugar cubes. Somewhere, a woman is roasting beans in a quiet courtyard. Somewhere else, a child hums beside a snoring goat. The empire breathes in its sleep. And you, wandering through it, feel strangely at peace. Maybe you'll dream of velvet slippers and saffron steam. Maybe you'll forget everything by morning except the sensation of a cat brushing your ankle and the last sweet sip of something nearly magical. Please take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Sweet dreams.